Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Happy Wednesday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario. I don't know why I said Mario Tirabassi.
I smell toast.
Don't even joke. I'm old enough. I got Luke peeing in the seat, and now I'm having a stroke on the air. That can't happen. That's too much. Too much.
He did not really pee in the seat. That was water.
Allegedly.
Sure. Gotcha. Wink.
He may be incompetent, but
we've all had water on the pants before.
Yes, exactly. Actually, there is no wet spot. Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Hang on. Yeah, it's not pee. Okay, good. Thanks for not peeing the seat this time, Luke. We appreciate that.
We're off and running.
Off and running, a blazing start for CHGO Blackhawks.
This might be the record for how fast the show has gone off the rails.
There was one time I started the show with the wrong sponsor, so that wasn't great either.
That's true.
All right, we got a lot to get today. Jesse Montano from DNVR is going to join us in the second half of the show to preview Blackhawks and Avalanche tomorrow. We've got some good audio from Luke Richardson talking about Lukas Reichel. We've got some Patrick Kane injury news to get to. And if you stay tuned the whole show, we've got a nice little surprise for you at the end that you're not going to want to miss. Very, very cool little thing I stumbled upon last night that Hawks fans and hockey fans will be very interested in. Before we get rolling, make sure you smash that like button on the YouTube page. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you are a podcast-only old-school person like me, make sure you are subscribed or following the podcast as well. And if you got 30 seconds to spare, us poor little podcasters, feel free to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And just know that if you like a podcast and you like what they do, give them that 5-star review. It's not food. A 4-star review is the equivalent of a 1-star review. So if it's a podcast you like, even if it's imperfect, we're perfect, but other podcasts might not be.
Yeah, you saw this. You listened to the start.
I'm just saying generally, give a 5-star review. All right? The 4-star review is a kick in the nuts. Don't do that. All right? So we appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Let's start with Patrick Kane, who, once again, just like yesterday, was out there early before practice. Actually, today was working on some shootouts with Petr Cech, who is still with the Blackhawks. Maybe he's
signed.
Yeah, seriously. He's might be the EBUG going into this game. But then as soon as the practice festivities began, Patrick Kane left the ice. And today, Luke Richardson said doubtful for Thursday's game against the Avalanche, hopeful for Saturday's game. So we'll see. We'll see what this means for Patrick Kane. Is this something longer term? Luke didn't seem to think so. He seems to think that this is a short term. Maybe a little longer than they had hoped, but still nothing he thinks is going to keep Kane out for an extended period of time.
Yeah, the narrative has been that this is minor, short term from Kane himself, from Richardson. So, I mean, if he would have practiced today, he'd have been in the lineup tomorrow. I would assume morning skate tomorrow he's going to be out there again, giving it a try just to see how it feels, but probably not.
Well, he just real quick. He looks fine. Like if you were to sit down at Fifth Third Arena and watch the Hawks practice, which you can, you would never know anything's wrong with him. There's no limp. There's no slowness to his. He's probably not feeling as stable as he'd like.
Here's the thing. If the Hawks were competing for a playoff spot, competing in the division, he'd be playing.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
This could have a lot more to do with Kyle Davidson saying, hey, if you're not 100%, I am not risking further injury on possibly my biggest trade chip at the deadline.
Right.
We need to get you super healthy for March 3rd. Jason in the comment mentioned Elliot Friedman kind of had was it Elliot Friedman or was it Merrick?
It was Friedman.
Yeah, kind of had the little thing that he's heard grumblings that it could be a little more serious, could be something that needs to take some time. Kane's been dealing with a lingering lower body thing for a while.
I think that's what he was playing off of, and that
eventually he's going to need some sort of surgery to take care of all these things.
Maybe
let that happen when he's under contract to another team,
or in the summer.
Yeah, but I think if the Hawks were in a playoff push and they needed to absolutely win, he'd be playing. He even said it himself that like, hey, other situation, I'd probably be good to go. But this may be more of a call from upstairs saying, hey, if you're not 100%, there's no reason to risk further injury for where we are right now.
Yeah, don't make it worse.
And we need to have you at 100% for when you decide, hey, I want to go someplace else.
So if you missed this week's Blackhawks beat that I wrote, how dare you? First of all. Second of all, I did quote Elliot Friedman in that story, so we should tell our listeners who haven't seen the story. Friedman speculates that there's a chance, and again, he used the word spitballing. So Elliot Friedman said, maybe, just maybe, Patrick Kane decides to get this thing taken care of, shuts himself down for the rest of the year, signs a 1-year contract extension with the Hawks, and then we go through this whole rigmarole with the trade next year again.
I hope not. That sounds like hell.
I don't think we're at that point. Again, he said spitballing, but when someone who's as connected as Elliot Friedman says something like that, you listen and your ears perk up a little bit. So in the back of my head, I'm kind of thinking about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, far be it from me to correct Elliot Friedman, but I think he was going off of the fact that this was the nagging injury that we've heard about from Kane for the last few years. And I believe that is a hip issue, and what he's going through right now is his knee. And Kane has said, it's my knee. So I don't think it's the same injury, but I also don't think, it's out of the question that maybe he does get everything taken care of and completely try and reset his body going into next season.
Why not?
The knee, if he hurt his knee, that could affect the
hip
too.
It could,
because if you start favoring a knee, then that could get your hip put out of place.
Knee bone's connected to the hip bone.
That's what the song told me. So
my wristwatch connected to the red thing. It's one of my favorite Simpsons. Dr. Nick when he's doing surgery.
Hello everybody. Dr. Nick Riviera.
I will say though, Phil Thompson today asked Luke Richardson, "Is this Patrick Kane injury related to the nagging injury he's been dealing with?" And Luke said, "I think so. I wasn't here, but I think so. It may have been a misspeak, but he said it." And I can tell you, as a fat guy who's had many lower body injuries, if you injure your knee, you will be limping, and then that causes other things to hurt and other things to suffer. So it is something to keep an eye on. The fact that he's been out this long is surprising. I'm not worried about it yet. And our buddy Charlie the Bacon Guy brings up a good question. Does this elongated injury period hurt Patrick Kane's trade value? And I think that's a conversation we need to have, because if you're the Rangers or Oilers or whoever, you're looking at this and saying, he's missed, 3-4 games now.
This will be game 3.
Am I willing to give up a first and a top prospect for what could be damaged goods? And it's, again, we don't think it's anything serious. I really don't, and you guys really don't. But if you're a GM and your Stanley Cup, aspirations are hinged on possibly trading for Patrick Kane, truthfully, your future is, because you're giving up a first and probably a prospect. That's a lot to give up for a guy you're not sure is going to be 100%, 90%, 85%. At what point do you set that limit and say, no, I'm not doing this, it's too risky?
Yeah, I know a lot of people and a lot of organizations probably would be okay with saying, hey, 85% of Patrick Kane is better than a lot of other guys that we could have on our roster.
Oh, yeah.
But is it 85% of Patrick Kane with the potential that he's screw something up and it's 0% of Patrick Kane? I think even if this is minor, there's still that little question now that wasn't there before that, NHL GMs can maybe have pop in their head and think about, maybe think twice. Maybe, if it's New York or if it's Edmonton or if it's Colorado, like Colorado's dealing with their own fair share of injuries to worry about. I don't know if, bringing in Patrick Kane, who may or may not be playing through an injury, is something that they'd want to, add to the fire. So I think it's definitely bringing up the question. I mean, it's not the same, but kind of similar. Like, look at the hell's happening with Carlos Correa in the MLB. Like, he's had to go through 3 different teams and go through physicals, and teams had to be sure about him, and they weren't. So now if Patrick Kane is got that doubt, I think there are teams that may back off, and other teams that might come up that we haven't been talking about that might be like, you know what, we're further away than we like to be, but we're not going to be players in the big market. Maybe if other teams aren't going to be going after Patrick Kane as hard as they were eventually, maybe another team swoops in that we're not thinking about and says, hey, you know what? We'll take the flyer on 80% Patrick Kane and see what happens.
Yeah, but the worry there is you get 80% of the value back, right?
If he says he wants to go, then Kyle Davidson without saying it, has made it pretty clear that I think he would like to get rid of Patrick Kane to bring in as many assets as possible. And if Kane says, I want to go, that's going to be very public.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, then the ball is in Kyle Davidson's court.
Never rule out, all your points about the injury could affect value are very valid. Never rule out the fact that there are GMs out there that want to just get the headline that I traded for Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
They won't necessarily be like, hey, he's only 85%. They just want to be like, hey, this is going to look really good. My job is kind of in jeopardy and pulling off a deal to get a superstar.
You can't say I didn't go for it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, hey, sure. I got the guy you guys all wanted. Not my fault his leg fell off 2 days later.
Right.
So, there are guys that just want to shoot.
Peter Mrazek's groin doing here?
There are guys that want to shoot their shot and just, a guy like Ken Holland is desperate for something. That guy. I don't know. I'm not in tune. I don't listen to the Chud enough to know what exactly is going on. But I have to imagine Ken Holland's seat is not room temperature.
It's toasty.
No.
He's got to make something. He's got a generational talent and another guy that's just below generational talent, and they haven't won squat. And they're wasting
fighting
them
for a
prime.
playoff spot.
Yeah. And, hey, the last
crazy.
time he traded for a guy named Kane, it went pretty well for them, at least for the rest of that season.
Sure.
So, he's got to be a guy that's going, I don't really care if he's healthy or not. I just need something. Trading for Patrick Kane in Edmonton, that would be a huge deal for him.
Yeah, so they can lose games 9-8 instead.
Right now,
That's not my problem.
Yeah.
I don't
now,
have to cover that team.
The Oilers are clinging to the final wild card spot.
Right ahead of the Avalanche, who are
ahead
getting
of
healthy.
St. Louis, who is a mystery. Nashville, Colorado, who will be getting healthier. Yeah, they're all right on their heels. And this might be a situation, too, where Ken Holland and the Oilers want to do something sooner than later. They can't wait.
They can't wait to March 3rd.
Colorado's eventually going to get healthy.
Yeah.
And they're going to start to look like the team we saw last year. And again, we're going to get to that with Jesse at 3 o'clock today.
Well, here's another problem for the Oilers that, for a lot of the first month of the season, we're like, Vegas, this is just a fluke. They're for real.
No, Vegas is good.
Yeah.
Seattle, that's just a fluke. No, Seattle's good. They're for real. Those teams are in their division. That's why they're in the wild card. They're not going anywhere. So now they might be panic mode. And a general manager who's panicked and managing for his job makes a very tasty trade target when you're on the other side.
Absolutely.
Desperation gets you a whole lot more than non-desperation.
But he's got to agree. He's got to agree to go.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Of course.
I mean, there's worse places you can go to than Edmonton.
Is there?
There are.
Winnipeg.
Calgary. Nashville.
Yeah.
No, I love Nashville as a town, but I wouldn't want to play there.
St. Louis.
Yeah. Boring.
Yeah,
Sure.
boring.
Absolutely.
But I just meant from a team wise, like
No, yeah. Going into
let's
a
go,
locker room
put
with
Patrick Kane on a line with Draisaitl and McDavid.
yeah,
Have fun.
that's gonna be your power play. Like, great.
Yeah.
No
Man,
problems
if
with
he's-
that.
Those points will start coming a lot quicker in Edmonton.
too,
than they are here.
if you're Patrick Kane and you're looking at a summer of free agency, you're like, may have had like a 30-point postseason just standing there while Connor McDavid gets all that. Like for the first time in his career,
He doesn't have to be the
Patrick
guy.
Kane would be ignored on the ice because
Yeah.
Connor McDavid's out there.
Someone
doesn't have
else
to
will
be
be
the
creating
driver.
space for him. Yeah. That's true. He
That's
hasn't-
very tempting.
If I'm Patrick Kane, all things considered, that's what. And if Edmonton wants me, I'm gonna listen. That that could be scary fun.
If I'm him, I'm there or the Rangers.
Selfishly, because I like the team and I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'd like to see him end up with the Devils.
That would be
and plus, it would stick it to the Rangers. All for the last 2 years, Rangers, we'll give you this busted out first round pick or this busted out for Patrick Kane. He wants to play with Panarin, and watch him go to the Devils, their arch rival. I would, as somebody who hates the Rangers, I would
Patrick Kane
enjoy
and Jack
that.
Hughes together. Oof.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Or
I'd watch that.
send them. Talk about reuniting with ex teammates. Send him to our precious Finnish boy in Carolina. Patrick Kane on Carolina would be a ton of fun too.
The team is so good already.
Oh yeah.
Throw Patrick Kane and a now healthy Max Pacioretty, who's got 3 goals in his last 2 games.
Can we get Tavo back?
Probably.
Can we make
not.
that happen?
I don't think so.
Damn it.
He doesn't fit. He doesn't fit the vision.
then I don't know. Then I don't like the vision. How about that?
We just gotta ask if Teuws was ready to work.
Oh yeah,
that's why he's not. That's why we traded him in the first place.
Yeah,
yeah, that's why.
That's why.
Nothing to do with the Albatross contract.
Nothing to do with Brian Bickle's contract.
No.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. It's Jamie says Calgary is so much nicer than Edmonton, city and weather-wise. Lived in Calgary for 3 years. Watched the Hawks several times at the Saddle Dome. If we ever do begin traveling for work, by the way, I'm never going to Calgary because I am not walking that goddamn catwalk.
I want to do it. I hate heights and all stuff like that. And listen, I wasn't ripping on the great city of Calgary. I've never been, so I can't tell. I was just picked their biggest rivalry. I want to do the catwalk of death.
Yeah.
Just to say I've done it.
No.
All right.
I'll do
well,
it.
then
I'm good.
I want to do it because people make so much of a fuss over it, and I'm like, well, it's not gonna fall. Like, you're fine.
I'm going to fall.
Well,
that's the thing.
I'll do it.
Don't
Yes,
jump.
your body is going to throw itself off the catwalk of death.
It's
right?
funny when I try to. This is how anytime I'm feeling anxious about anything, is I logic myself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, I can. Like, I have like terrors about sitting on the edge of a high rise. Like, I have that dream all the time where I'm sitting with my feet dangling off. I'm like, well, wait, I can sit on a chair.
Yeah.
I should be able to sit on the edge of a high rise. I don't suddenly like come tumbling out of
Like
Luke
those,
Stuckmeyer's pea-soaked chair. Right? I can handle sitting.
Yeah.
But it's the visual of there's nothing here keeping me.
Well,
No.
you were talking about you did your VR experience over Christmas.
The plank.
And yeah, how you were like, I can't do this, and you were just standing in your living room.
I finally did the plank game, and I fell on purpose because I literally walked to my counter and held onto my counter and then stepped over, so I felt what it was like to fall.
I just had the greatest social media idea ever.
Oh,
the
God.
three of us go to Calgary. We cross the catwalk of doom, but we have somebody standing at the one end with the camera, and we recreate the scene from Stand By Me where they're crossing the tracks and Vern is crawling, and you could be Vern.
That's me. There you go.
Me and Mario will be behind,
Yes.
walking behind, and you could drop a comb halfway through.
Yeah.
Like,
also,
I lost the
Lardass will
comb.
be vomiting.
I was
So
going to
it's a
say, as long as you don't
it's a double-
recreate that scene, just don't recreate that.
No, that would be that's a post game scene.
Yeah. All right. The other bit of insight we got today at practice, head coach Luke Richardson gave us more than 3 minutes. Not his fault yesterday, by the way. It just
No.
kind of went that way. The media will sit there silently and go, and they go, okay, thanks, coach, and he runs out. But today, talked a little about Lukas Reichel. And I believe the first question was, how do you plan on using him on the power play? And then there was a pretty solid follow-up. So a good, 2.5 minutes here from Luke Richardson on Lukas Reichel.
And just trying to get the guys to communicate a little bit and have our system, but we also have to talk and read off of each other, because once you're in there for a few seconds, things get moving and get chaotic. So I thought yesterday that was good, but the last 2 days it's been a lot of speed, moving the puck and attacking. I thought we've been playing as a 5-man unit connected everywhere. So if we're tracking hard and we're playing together, if we can transition that into offense and attack when the other team's either trying to change or they're not ready because they turn the puck over or they're being lazy, then we can outnumber them and get more offense. And then that's what we're trying to do, is be sound defensively but create more offense at all times.
What's the plan for Reichel on the power play?
You know what? I think him and Khrushchev seem to have something going, and they, even on the power play today, they really look for each other. He's in a comfortable spot. That's where he's kind of been playing on his strong side down there, and even on the 2-on-1, you can see he can really sell things and make that play either to the middle or to the far side. So you know what? Right now, it's just giving him the opportunity, and I think we have one power play last game, I think, or something. So we haven't been, unfortunately, creating a lot of chances to get opportunity in the power play the last 2 games, but the faster we play offensively, I think we're going to be able to start to draw some hooks and holds, and that'll give him a little bit more chance and a better look. But more importantly for me is like how he's been playing on the power play. He's not, or on 5-on-5. He's not just waiting to be a power play specialist. He's really trying to show the 5-on-5, and the more confidence he gets 5-on-5, I think he's going to be able to even be more confident when there's more room out there 5-on-4.
What has impressed you most about the way he's played last night?
Just his speed, and he's playing pretty simple and letting his skill find the opportunity to use it. Like, so offensively, he's not trying to slow down and stop and try and sauce through 3 people from me to you. He's skating and creating speed, so it's creating lanes to make, and those guys are pretty much passing the puck flat. It's just making short passes, and they're supporting each other and they're moving. It's very difficult for defense to cover that. So I think he's fitting in with those 2 guys right now, and it's only been a couple of games, but he's been consistently getting better in the American League, and that's what we've asked him to do this year. And now he's getting an opportunity, and he's making the most of it. So I think to stay on that course of whether it's here or there or wherever, to continue to keep building his game this year, because consistency in the NHL is going to be the biggest thing for him, just like any other offensive guy. Like if you can get him to the level of a Pasternak or those guys, they do it every night, and they're going and they drive their team.
All right, that was Luke Richardson after today's practice. That's just a couple hours old, that video. Good stuff there. Like we talk about with Luke all the time, insightful, specific, all those things. My main takeaway from not just that, but just from conversations over the last 48 hours is this is not a call-up for Lukas Reichel. Lukas Reichel is an NHL player now.
Yeah.
He is a Blackhawk. And unless there's some major fall-off, he's here to stay.
Yeah, I get that sense too. And he, the 2 games, most recent games that he's played, he has looked like an NHL player, which is one of the biggest things that he needed to do to kind of solidify himself. Like, you couldn't just say, well, you're our top prospect that's a professional, like, we're going to give you this space. Like, no, he was given the opportunity, and he grabbed it and has run with it through 2 games so far, which is what we all wanted to see from him. We all said, we wanted to see the guy who was playing in Rockford translate to the NHL, and through these last 2 games, he's definitely done that, which is good because he was just today named an AHL All-Star along with David Gust and Brett Seney. I don't think Lukas Reichel is going to be playing in the AHL All-Star game.
Doubtful. I think he is. He's here for the duration, and then maybe they send him back for a Calder Cup run.
I would imagine so, yeah.
You think, or maybe he's doing so good here, they're just like, you've earned your full off season. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
One step at a time. But I'm pretty sure Kyle Davidson had a checklist of things he wanted to see from Lukas Reichel in order to stay here. And I'm pretty sure that first shift against Arizona, he checked all those boxes. Like, it was pretty evident that, like,
in his first shift.
This is exactly what we want. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a 3-point guy every night. Please don't do that yet. But
no, that'd be fine though.
I might ruin the tank.
No,
three
Mrazek every game.
Him getting 3 points every night.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah.
On a
Sign
team that's
Petr
giving
Cech.
up almost 4 goals a game. Like, I think we're all right.
Stalock isn't giving up that.
No.
Well, we'll see. But
We'll see. Keep feeding him
just
shrimp.
playing at an NHL level, and as Luke said there, it's the confidence that he sees. He's not riding along on the plays anymore. He's driving the play.
Yeah.
He's being the main attention. He's taking, he's taking the baton and running with it. He's being what they want him to be. As long as he keeps doing that, he'll be fine. And speaking of the goalies, that was the other little bit of news that Jackson Stauber was recalled from the Rockford Ice Hogs. Alex Stalock missing another day
Still
to a
sick.
non-COVID illness. So, it's Petr Mrazek starting tomorrow. I would assume Stauber will be in uniform to back him up, unless Stalock wakes up feeling great.
Yeah.
And
Take some Imodium.
and so, but here's like, would be fun. You mentioned it earlier. What do they do? Like, say Stalock feels better and he backs up, and then one of Mrazek's wonky groins acts up. Stalock goes out there and like poops himself like 3 minutes in, and then you're down.
Then
do you actually bring in Petr Cech
Hell
to be
yes,
your
you
E-bug?
bring in Petr
If he's
Cech.
in town and
He's gotta be
you can
better
list,
than
list him as the e-bug, like, talk about a
That
How
would
cool
be
would that be?
that would
That'd
be
be
right
it.
up there with the Alex Ovechkin hat trick for my favorite story. Of the year.
Oh, for sure.
Is there a DraftKings bet over under Petr Cech saves at 0.5?
You know what?
Maybe.
I think tomorrow morning,
Live
if
betting.
I get a chance, I may sneak in the to Luke Richardson tomorrow. I may sneak is check your e-bug tonight just in case.
Yeah, he's
If
not
he's still
leaving
in town,
apparently.
why not?
Yeah.
The other thing, and Chuck O'Mucko points it out, Luke Richardson comping Reichel to David Pasternak. Yeah, it moved a little bit when he said that.
Yeah.
I was like,
that would be great.
Really? Was that?
Yeah, if that's your expectations and you think you can be that guy, that
that guy.
Seems like a heck of a value for where you got him.
Yeah, that'd be just about where wasn't Pastrnak 18th overall?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, somewhere in
Reichel
there.
was 17th.
Speaking of Chuckle Mucko, who keeps sliding into our DMs looking for info,
Weirdo.
we can tell y'all finally.
Our kind of weirdo.
Save the date. Our Blackhawks United Center takeover is happening on February 10th. Tickets are not available yet, but they will be shortly as we finalize the details, make sure we got everything squared away. But it is happening February 10th against Arizona Coyotes.
Let's go.
PHNX Coyotes.
Friday night.
A Friday night.
Friday night.
Oh,
It's
baby.
going to be awesome.
A
gonna
big
be
lit
lit.
winner.
The date is secured. We know for sure it is happening on February 10th. So save the date.
be hot.
Clear your calendar.
Oh
Within the
my
next
gosh.
week or so, tickets will be made available. So get ready. The CHGO Blackhawks takeover is happening, and it's going to be an awesome, awesome time.
Save the date, and if you want to save money, become a diehard
Yes.
now,
Yep.
and you'll get a discounted ticket to our takeover and every CHGO event in 2023 because that's just the start of it. We've got a lot in the works, a lot of cool things going to be coming out. And
Fun times.
Jump in now, get that diehard upgrade, and you'll be able to be a part of all of it for a cheaper price.
Yeah, and if you become a diehard, you get a free shirt or hat, including our legendary 81 design. And that's just a reminder, a little teaser. Stay tuned for the end of the show for something really cool.
Yeah.
That maybe you missed last night. But here's something I never miss: shoving Green Ridge Farm meat into my face hole.
Yes.
It is one of my favorite pastimes, and it will be yours too when you give Green Ridge Farm a try. They are a Chicago local meat and cheese company, and they offer you a better all-natural option. They are my go-to deli meat company. The Caminito ham I just talked about the other day, which is absolutely wonderful. But they really want you to know about the meat sticks, which are perfect for tailgating, happy hour, and school lunches. They're all natural, and they're hardwood smoked for 8 hours. 16 grams of protein per stick, and they make a perfect post-workout snack. That's that word, workout. Meat sticks come in chicken, Black Forest beef, and flavors like jalapeno cheddar and spicy chili. If you haven't tried them, you should. They're damn good. We promise you. They're delicious because they're made from recipes generations in the making, all natural, and deliver that fresh and flavorful alternative at snack time. You can always find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Sam's Club, or in your Chicagoland grocery store. And right now, when you order any 3 meat products at greenridgefarm.com and include a pack of meat sticks in your cart, those meat sticks will be free simply by using the code CHGO at checkout. Green Ridge Farm, simply natural meat.
And what's just as good as meat products for your face hole, saving on tickets to all your favorite events here in Chicago. If you want to grab yourself tickets to any type of events, sporting events, concerts, the hottest shows, you need to check out our friends at Game Time, as they are the new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on all the events you want to go to. Have you ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you thought you never could, right behind the Hawks bench? Maybe you'd like to be by the penalty box, as long as not the stinky guy from the Iowa Wild isn't there.
Sam
You'll be all right.
Hentages.
That guy, yes. No matter where you want to sit, Game Time has the seat you want, and they have the biggest last-minute price drops that could be found anywhere on the internet. You won't find a better deal on Blackhawks tickets. Just taking a look right now. If you want to go see Thursday night's game, our buddy Jesse is going to be jumping on here in a second to preview our tilt with the reigning champs. $23 gets you in the door to see the Colorado Avalanche. Best deal I'm looking at right now, Tuesday's game, the 17th, against the really exciting Buffalo Sabres. $10 tickets, $11 to see Trevor Zegras and the Ducks after the All-Star break on February 7th. So tons of great deals. And if you find lower price on any other ticketing website, let our friends at Game Time know. They will match it. If you love CHGO, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't, then you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the podcast description. If you're watching live on YouTube, scroll down while you're smashing that giant thumbs up button. You'll see the link to Game Time right there. If you're listening on one of our audio-only formats, you'll find the link in the description as well. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events.
All right, now we welcome in our second guest in as many days. It is Jesse Montano from DNVR Avalanche. Follow him on Twitter at Jesse Montano _. What's up with the Avs? Why do they suck, kinda?
Dude, that's the question around the media room right now. Just every night we're leaving the games like, do they suck? What's going on? Yeah, not the season we were expecting for sure.
No, they're realistically, it's the injuries. Val Nichushkin is out. Josh Manson is out. Bowen Byram is out. Gabriel Landeskog has not played yet. This team is really as injured as anyone in hockey. What is the window for return for probably the two most important guys on the list, Byram and Landeskog?
Yeah, so it's the injuries. Not only have there been a lot of them, but it seems like every single injury is to a key player. Mm-hmm. And for a while there, like we were making the joke that it was every injury was 4 to 6 weeks. Like they weren't even getting injury luck with their injuries. You know what I mean? Like they weren't getting any day-to-day stuff. It was all long-term. Like you said, Gabe Landeskog hasn't played yet this season. So he had the knee surgery last year near the end of the season, heading into the playoffs. He came back, played the entire playoff run, practiced only once. There was maybe an optional morning skate where he got out there as well, but really it was games or nothing for him. So we all kind of assumed there's something lingering here. He'll take this summer, get healed up. Well, I guess they started doing captain skates right before preseason, and it wasn't feeling right, so he had to have another surgery to clean that up. And Jared Bednar just told us, I believe it was early last week, that the treatment, his body wasn't really responding to it. Both Gabe Landeskog and Bowen Byram were both dealing with this, where their body just wasn't taking to the treatment. So really, I mean, he still doesn't even have a timeline. Jared Bednar hasn't even given us a timeline on Gabe Landeskog. He has said that they are expecting him back by the end of the season. But I mean, at this point, I'm looking close to March before you see Gabe Landeskog back. Hasn't even skated yet. Isn't getting back on the ice, nothing like that. So he's still a ways out. Bowen Byram, when the team was in Finland, he played the first game, didn't play the second game. They said it was a lower body, week to week, no big deal. But like I just said, same thing. Bednar said the treatment wasn't really working. Well, as of about 2 weeks ago, it sounds like he's starting to make some progress. So he's a couple weeks out still, but there's light at the end of the tunnel for him. Val Nichushkin, man, this one is getting a little worrisome for me, and it's got some like Peter Forsberg vibes to it. So he broke his foot during the Cup final last year. So everyone knew that was going to need to be taken care of. Well, he starts this year. He ends up having to have ankle surgery right out of the gate. Slow coming back for him. And now they're telling us that when he's not on skates, he feels fine. He can go through all of his workouts, everything. He's good. Val Nichushkin puts on skates and he starts having a ton of problems with his ankle. So that's one where, again, Bednar said it could be tomorrow. It could be weeks. We just don't really know. Again, all jokes aside, they've had a rough start. They're running into some frustrations right now, but so much of this stems from the injuries to really key guys. They've gotten some bodies back, but now what you have kind of left outstanding is all up in the air.
Oof, that's tough.
That is.
Remember when we were in Denver for the first game of the year, and the three of us were telling all of you to cherish this and remember it because it's fleeting and it goes away. I did not think it would be just a few months later. But
I've been thinking about that conversation a lot the last couple of weeks, just so you guys know.
Well, here's the funny thing, like. Our season has gone exactly as planned, and we're happy about it. You guys are miserable right now.
So it is funny because for me, I still think that this team. Look, their game 41 for them is tomorrow in Chicago. That's your halfway point. The first half of the season hasn't gone the way that you've wanted it to, no doubt. To me, I was listening to what you guys were talking about a little bit earlier. You know, when you're talking about some of the trades and stuff. I still do believe that this team will get, at some point, Val Nichushkin back, Bowen Byram, Josh Manson. That top four on D will fill out again. Their top six will be looking more, coherent. And I think they will end up being fine. I think they'll get into the playoffs, and, that's where it really matters. I don't think they're going to end up winning the Central Division, which Definitely is not what I had on my bingo card at the start of the year. But I think they got half the season to make this right. This is just too veteran of a team, too talented of a team to miss, I think. But obviously they got to get some things turned around. They got to get things figured out. Got to get some more bodies back.
Do you foresee then, with a lot of these guys supposed to be coming back healthy, do you think the Avalanche are treating those guys coming back as, hey, we've got our guys back? If they're in a playoff position as the trade deadline approaches, or they're in the hunt or whatever, and then they get healthy, do they treat that as kind of their additions, or do you think this is still a team that's going to go out there and try and get the, a player or two to kind of put them over the top?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. I know we've heard some discussions around right now that is really how they're looking at it. Like, hey, we know we have 4 to 5 guys, depending on how you feel about a couple of those guys that are out, that we know are high impact players that are coming back. They are definitely looking at that as mid-season pickups for them, especially a guy like Gabe Landeskog, who, like we said, hasn't played a game yet. That's definitely how they are looking at him. I also think he's the linchpin to the second part of your question. If they think Gabe Landeskog is coming back and he will be healthy and able to help them on a run, I do. I think they go for it again. You got the rest of this season with Nathan MacKinnon making $6 million and some change. I think they want to try to maximize as much of that as they can. Go for the back-to-back. Repeating is still a topic of conversation around this team. It's something they want to do. It's something they think they are capable of doing. So, like I said, I think they are looking at, especially the guys like Byram, Manson, they are looking at that as those are kind of our own internal pickups. But if they feel confident that they will be getting Gabe Landeskog back for some type of run this year, I think they go for it again. I think they're looking, the Bo Horvats, Jonathan Toews. We talked at the beginning of the year about Patrick Kane. I know Joe Sakic likes him. I think if they think that they are going to have their own pieces back for a run, they're pushing all the chips to the middle again.
Let's do a little Hawks imagination here. You just mentioned Toews and Kane is potentially on the Avalanche radar.
Yep.
I know that immediately when people hear that, they're going to say Bo and Byram, which is unlikely, right? But if one or both of those trades were to happen, who are some of the prospects in the Avalanche organization that could be intriguing for Hawks fans? Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess if you're starting in terms of NHL guys that are NHL ready in the NHL, as much as, I think he is still part of their long-term plans. I think Alex Newhook is a guy that you would have to look at if it's something that the Avs think they can get a guy and have a chance to keep him. Definitely, not a guarantee, but I think a guy like Alex Newhook could potentially be on the table. That is someone who I legitimately think has top 6 center upside. He's 21 years old. He had right around a 40-point season last year. He's got great speed, great skill. He's been a little exposed this year because with all the injuries, they kind of just dropped him right into a 2C role. And as a 21-year-old, that's tough. So that's someone you're talking about if you're talking about a roster player, someone they want that's NHL ready. Again, I don't fully know how much the Avs would want to give up a guy like that. But hey, look, if you're getting a guy like Patrick Kane, there's got to be some give to your take, right? The other side of that, if you are talking pure futures prospect, to me, it's Sean Behrens, alternate captain with Team USA at the WJCs. Great puck moving defenseman, really solid in his own end, can skate. He's been through WJCs now twice. He's in a leadership role with DU, national champion last year. He's really the Avs' last top tier potential top 4 prospect. And I think he's on the table right now, especially after a really successful World Juniors for him. I think his stock has gone up a bit around the league. And I think that's a defenseman that could become a staple for a team like the Blackhawks in the top 4. My other kind of dark horse here is Jean-Luc Foudy. He's a guy that has had a great last 2 seasons in the AHL with the Eagles in terms of production. He got a call up with all of these injuries with the Avs, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule. And for my money, he jumped right in and did not look out of place at all. Not afraid to go to the front of the net. Great speed, great instincts. Their prospect depth isn't what it was the last couple of years, but I think there are a couple players in there, especially an organization like Chicago, could pluck out and really turn into some good, solid NHLers long term. And then the 2023 first is on the table. Like the Avs held on to it last year so that they could have it as a chip for this year. And so I think all of these deals start with the Avs 2023 first, whether you're talking Chicago, Vancouver, whomever, 2023 first. And then it's a matter of, are you looking defense? Are you looking NHL ready player? Are you looking for a couple pieces? But those are some guys. Oscar Olauson's another former first-round pick, an NHL-ready shot. Kind of reminds me of an Andre Burakovsky type.
Does Foudy project as an NHL center to you or more of a winger?
They liked him on the wing.
Okay.
They tried him at center when he first came in. That's where he's played with the Eagles. That's kind of where he's played, coming up through his career. I think some of that is, hey, we're getting you your first taste of NHL action. Let's shelter you a little bit. But I mean, look, by the time he got sent down, he had worked his way into the top six. He was taking semi-regular reps with Mikko Rantanen, Arturi Lehkonen, whatever kind of hodgepodge wingers that they were putting there for those few games. But again, I didn't think he looked out of place. He was creating. He was going to the net. He was finding himself in scoring opportunities. Really, he could have had a couple goals, 2 or 3, maybe with a little bit more luck or just getting to the right area a little bit quicker. But he's someone that we had on our radar as, look out for this guy the next 2 years. Talking to some folks within the organization, he really, really impressed. It was a really hard decision to send him down, but as they got healthy, they felt it benefited him more to go get some bigger minutes with the Eagles. But great playoff in the American League last year, and he really, like I said, he really had an impact on some big-time decision makers for the Avs in the front office during his call-up here.
Before the season started, we did our picks for postseason awards. I picked Cale Makar to win the Hart Trophy this year. Yep. But, excuse me, all choked up talking about Cale Makar. But if I had a vote, it's going to be for one of his teammates right now for the Hart Trophy, and that's Mikko Rantanen. The dude has been taking all the burden of the injuries and just been a monster. 27 goals, 50 points in 39 games. Is he just one of those guys that is completely underappreciated everywhere else outside of Denver?
I think so. And it's not that people don't know that he's good, but I don't think people realize the elite, like all world tools he has. To me, he really is. It's if McKinnon is to McDavid, then Rantanen is to Draisaitl in my eyes. Like I think those two players are on a really, really similar tier. He's a great playmaker. He has a fantastic shot. He's got great hands. But the thing he's doing this year that I've really never seen him do this effectively is use his size. He's 6'5", 6'6", depending on which website you look at. He's just a huge guy. And he's always kind of shied away from the physicality of it. Something that's really interesting. Again, we were in Finland with the team, and he was doing an interview with one of the Avs social media folks. And he talked about in his draft year, I didn't know this, in Mikko Rantanen's draft year, at the start of the year, he was, I think, like 5'7". By the time he got drafted, he's pushing 6'5". And so he said that right, seriously, he grew almost a foot in his draft year in 1 year. And so he talked about that. I really struggled to adjust to the size. He said, I felt clumsy. I was falling over a lot. And that it just took him a long time. And this looks to me, because again, I think he's 25 right now. He may still be 24. He just turned 26. Wow, now I look dumb. But 26 years old, it looks like he finally has adjusted to this much, much, much larger frame of his, and he's embracing it. He's not shying away from contact. He's not afraid to maybe get into, in tighter in the home plate area where maybe he would taken some abuse in the past and would kind of shy away from it. But I think that has just taken his game to another level. And in a half season that has really seen some ups and downs and some struggles for the Avs, he's been a huge bright spot, and I think he's put himself more on the map. We've always known that he's got that elite side to him. He's showing it every single night right now, and I do think outside of Colorado, he's one of the more underappreciated players league-wide.
The Hart Trophy is supposed to be for the most valuable player, not the best. And you can't tell me nobody's been more valuable for their team this year than Mikko Rantanen, because without him, things are really bad.
Without him, they're in the tank standings.
Seriously. Well, honestly, and you're not talking at all about moving that first-round pick at the deadline. You were talking about, wow, maybe we luck out and get Connor Bedard, and we have to do this all over again. If not for Mikko Rantanen.
You'd be doing crossovers with us and PHNX about, hey, how are we getting the first-round pick this year?
Yeah, I'll say it'd be like that scene in Anchorman with all the different news stations fighting over Connor Bedard. But it's on any given night right now, depending on how many goals Mikko Rantanen has, he is either above or just below 25% of the Avs goal total for this year. Nathan MacKinnon last night hit 10. He's had some injury problems. He's been in and out a little bit. Nathan MacKinnon hit 10 goals last night. He's the second Av to hit double digits, and Mikko Rantanen is approaching 30. So he's been, not only has he been a pretty dominant player just in his own right, but he is carrying the offensive load for this team to the tune of 25% of their overall production pretty much every night. Like I said, depending on how many goals he has scored last night. So I think he's at 24.8%, if I remember correctly.
That is an MVP, my friend.
Yeah, that is an MVP.
By
definition.
Right.
The most valuable player. I agree. I think right now, if the season ends today, he's probably got my vote. And it's not just because I cover him every day, but he has been the most valuable to his team.
I know we talked about, top prospects that the Avalanche have that Blackhawks fans could get excited about. I think in that scenario in which we're talking about the exciting prospects, that's more of a Patrick Kane kind of deal. I know you were saying that the second line center has kind of been a little iffy with the Avalanche this season, and obviously injuries play a factor, but Jonathan Toews is also likely available from the Blackhawks, and seems like he's been connected to Colorado a few times. If you're talking a Jonathan Toews acquisition from a Avalanche perspective, what do you think the team would be willing to give up for a guy like that who's not on the same level of trade value as Patrick Kane, but still could fill that position?
Yeah, see, I know they've talked about Patrick Kane, but if you force me to put money on it right now, I think it's Jonathan Toews. I think that's the guy that I'm not sure if they end up landing him, right? You have to get the deal done, but I think that's the guy that ends up kind of in their crosshairs. I think he costs less than a Bo Horvat, and the Avs love leadership type, good locker room guys, all that stuff, and doesn't get much better than three-time Cup champ Captain Series, right? And so I think they would really like him. I think he would fit in well to the identity here. Now, again, I think you're probably still talking that 2023 first, right? Sorry, and I don't know. I think that's probably what it takes, right? To pull a guy like that out of Chicago, despite what he's kind of doing now. I think the reputation probably says you have to give up a first. And then if you're tacking anything onto that, I don't know. I look at a guy like Martin Kaut, who could play in the Blackhawks lineup tomorrow, bottom six. He could be a third line winger for the Blackhawks for the next 7 years and be fine. He'd be passable. He's not going to score 20 goals. He's not going to score 30 goals, but he'll kill some penalties and, he'll be a decent player. But for me, and I don't know, maybe you guys tell me if you've heard differently in terms of what the price would be for Jonathan Toews, and I don't know, maybe a first-round pick is enough. But if you need a sweetener, I think you're probably talking a guy like a Martin Kaut, who former first-round pick, really hasn't lived up to the hype a ton, but he could be a set and forget in Chicago's bottom six through this rebuild and be more than passable.
It's kind of hard to project, Jesse, because we don't know how many teams that either of those guys are going to allow themselves to be made available to. So if Toews says, I'll go to Colorado, and that's it, well, then the Hawks are kind of over a barrel, right? There's no bidding war.
Yep.
To me, if a team's offering a first-round pick for Jonathan Toews, I am taking it and running.
Yeah.
And look, everything you said is true, and I do feel like Toews arriving to a contender will kind of reignite his engine a little bit. He started off great. At 25 games in, I called him the team's MVP. Since then, he's kind of slowed down a little bit. You see him frustrated in games, frustrated in practice because the body is not allowing him to do the things he used to be able to do, right? The plays he's expected to make. He thinks he can get by this defenseman. Nope. Ian Mitchell knocks him off the puck and takes it away during practice, and he slams a stick on the boards because he's just not the same guy. But I think going to a contender and getting into a playoff race, and again, just like Kane, not being the guy would be huge, and getting him kind of, I don't think it's an issue of motivation, but I just think him feeling inspired again to play at that level and have it mean something would be huge. And let's not forget, Jonathan Toews' idol is Joe Sakic.
I was going to say, he wears number 19 because of Joe Sakic.
Yeah, and there's a story from his rookie year where they played against each other, and before the game, Toews met Sakic in the hallway of the United Center and just talked about how starstruck he was, and oh my God, that's the guy, and they played against each other. I think that Toews would probably have Colorado at the top of his list, and I know this sounds weird, but I can see it. Like, doesn't it kind of look right?
It does, but it
like
will,
Toews in an Avalanche uniform makes all the sense in the world.
It would look weird because he's going to have to wear a different number.
Yeah,
that would be a little strange.
Yeah,
I imagine he'd go 91.
Yeah.
Oh, is he 16?
Did he wear? What did he wear? in junior 9?
He wore 9 at North Dakota.
Yeah,
16 on
16
Team Canada.
for Team Canada. I don't know if those are available.
Is 9 available?
9 is Evan Rodriguez. It was available up until this year, but 16's available.
There you go.
All right,
you do that.
But no, I had the same thought earlier this year. I was like, why does Jonathan Toews? He just looks like an Av.
It makes sense.
Like there's just something about him that kind of fits. And I also, just to kind of build on what you were saying there about like his role. Yeah, he's got the physical limitations now. It is what it is. But I think you could put him on a line with, Mikko Rantanen or really you could probably even do like a Gabe Landeskog, Val Nichushkin. Just give him two guys who are going to go dig pucks out, play heavy, get to those ugly areas, and just distribute the puck out to a Jonathan Toews who can do the things that he can still do well. And then I also think that if you are wanting to keep him around, he probably costs you a little bit less. There's nothing wrong with having that kind of leadership, right, around your room. And then if you throw him into your top 6, not only does he not have to be the guy, he can be the 6th guy in that top 6. When fully healthy, that top 6 is loaded. He can sit there and just be the benefactor of all. He can be the last guy on the ice that everyone pays attention to. And I don't care, what's going on with him. I wouldn't, if I'm an opposing team, I wouldn't want to find Jonathan Toews uncovered 15 feet from the net. You know what I mean? And I think here in Colorado, with the structure they play, I think he would just he'd be put in a position to succeed. And I think it's a move that would make sense for everyone, that I think everyone could kind of come out happy on. And that includes Jonathan Toews, who I think, like you guys said, would have some incentive to greenlight a trade to Colorado.
I think playing between Val Nichushkin and Gabe Landeskog would be more fun for Toews than playing between Tyler Johnson and Taylor Radish.
Maybe a bit.
I know that might be a little hot takey, but I think it might be a little bit more fun.
Yeah, he might smile a little more out there.
He might enjoy that.
Real quick, this morning at practice, Jay and I were talking about the Avs situation. We both kind of agreed, as long as they get everybody healthy come April, no matter what seed they are in the West, they're the team to beat. Is that the general feeling amongst Avs fans, or has some panic started to set in halfway through? Or is it just, hey, don't worry, these guys are going to be back and we're still going to be a steamroller? So amongst fans, that mindset held up until about a week ago, and they hit this 5-game skid, and now everyone's, it's panic button all over the place. But internally, I still do think, while you'd never get Jared Bednar to say out loud, we just need to get in. I definitely think that is kind of the mentality. Like I said, I was just talking to a couple players the other day, including Nathan McKinnon, and their sights are still set on repeating. Like, they have the faith in that locker room that we're going to get this turned around, we're going to get into the playoffs, and we are going to be a force, and we're going for this again. So yeah, amongst the fans, it's the world is burning down right now.
on this 5-game skid, which it hasn't been good. The Avs need to get it turned around, all that stuff. But internally, while you never love to go on a slide like this, and there definitely are some things that need to get corrected, my sense is the overall feel on the inside of the organization is, let's get healthy, and then let's see where we're at, and then let's get to the playoffs and go from there. I still think there's a lot of confidence in this group. It seemed really easy last year, if you're looking at them from the outside, because their record was so great. They ran away with the Western Conference, but they dealt with some injury issues last year. Into the playoffs, they dealt with some injury issues. This is a team that's battled through adversity, maybe not to this extent, but they're confident in their group that they're going to be able to dig out of it. Again, I think back to those Blackhawk teams from the mid-2010s and even this Tampa team now from the last few years. There's just nothing that shakes those teams, right? Once you get into that rhythm and you understand what it takes to win and you know who you are, you don't get rattled, you don't get shaken. You're able to forge ahead and say, hey, we trust our process. We think we're going to come out of this. I think the injuries have definitely caused some frustration around the Avs at the beginning of the year. But when you get down to it and you talk to them about the play on the ice, they really do think that their process hasn't been bad and the luck is going to flip on them eventually. They have the worst shooting percentage in the league right now. They are 32 out of 32 for shooting percentage.
Oh, Patrick Kane will fit right in then too.
So with guys like Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen, Nathan McKinnon, you're just not going to shoot it sub 5% all season. You know what I mean? Like, the pucks are going to start going in, and I do think that they're looking at that saying, the pucks will go in, we'll be in a better spot. Let's clean this up here and there, but we trust the guys in our room and our process.
Hey, you won the Pacific Division. Here's your prize: a fully healthy Colorado Avalanche in the first round. Have fun with that.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, but you know what a good cure to end a 5-game winning streak is? It's a trip to United Center to play the Blackhawks without Patrick Kane. There's your remedy, my friend.
So I won't lie, I was telling Megan last night. So I think it was week 2. I did a power rankings at the start of the season, and I want to say the Blackhawks were something like 5-2 or 6-3 or something like that.
They had a 4-game winning streak after we left Denver, and everybody panicked.
Right, and so seriously. But I wrote in my power rankings that second week. I was like, wow, what a fun little. I even put them like up in the ranks. I was like, you think it probably won't last, but what a fun start for them. The guys look like they're enjoying themselves in Chicago and they're playing inspired. And they're at 10 wins right now. I wrote that in week 2. And like they've barely won that same amount of games since. So I was telling Megan last night, I said, hey, look, the Avs felt good about their third period last night. They were able to mount a comeback. Falls a little short. But I said they're frustrated. They need some things to go their way. They need an easy game. And that doesn't mean a blowout game, but they need a game where they get out ahead of a team. They have a good start, they get a lead, and then they put a team away, and they can kind of not have to run around with their hair on fire in the last 2 minutes. And I told her, I said, look, you're going into the United Center against a 10-win Blackhawks team. If there has ever been a moment in this season to have a game where you can find some confidence, it's this one, with all due respect. Now, on the flip side of that, if you go out into Chicago and you fall flat on your face and you give the Blackhawks their 11th win of the season, now you need to be taking a look in the mirror a little bit and figuring out, do we know who we are? Like I said, just being around this team, I think they figure it out. I think they get healthy and they're all good, and I think maybe that could even start tomorrow. But
careful, we're 2-0 without Patrick Kane.
I was going to say, it's not a layup for the Avs.
So
it's not a layup. Yeah, the Avs got to show up. They got to bring their game. The NHL is full of very prideful professional athletes. None of these guys like to be the butt of the joke. They'll have their work cut out for them tomorrow. Teams play inspired when they're missing their top guys. The Avs have a weirdly great record over the last 3 seasons without Nathan McKinnon. Guys want to prove, hey, we're just as good as he is. So the Avs have their work cut out for them tomorrow with a pesky little Hawks team tomorrow.
Jesse, thanks so much for the time, man. We appreciate it. Great stuff as always. Our fans love when we do these crossovers with DNVR and PHNX, so we'll do it more often. Thanks, man. And hopefully tomorrow, neither fan base are talking themselves into jumping, because it's been that way for us after 2 wins. So hopefully we can help each other. Hopefully, if the Avs can get a win, Hawks fans will calm down, Avalanche fans will calm down, and all will be right with the world.
Let's help each other out.
Yeah.
I'll say, let's just everyone just have fun tomorrow, right? I just hope everyone has fun, right? Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, technical difficulties caused me to be late. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Jesse. Thanks a lot. That's Jesse Montano from DNVR. Follow him on Twitter at Jesse Montano _. All right, we've got one little last thing for you. If you stuck around with us throughout the entire show, I was couldn't sleep last night, and I was scrolling the internet as you do, and popped up on Instagram, and it was.
Should we talk about our cornhole
before we give them a
first?
surprise?
Yeah, I guess we can.
Yeah, why don't you talk about your cornhole boards?
We'll talk about the
cornhole.
Let's cornhole them and then surprise them.
The custom cornholes. Those come from Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for the Chicagoland and Illinois area since 2007. They have their signature box design for their cornhole boards that can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted to your liking. They come with built-in drink holders, which are great, and they have the LED light around the hole so you can always find the cornhole hole and be able to play long into the night. And they have the exterior handles for easy carrying because these things are handcrafted, sturdy wood. They're not flimsy, so you're going to need those handles to carry them around from event to event. They are a veteran-owned and operated company, which is fantastic. They offer local pickups and can ship anywhere. So if you want to ship them across the country to your friend, they can accommodate that. If you want to drive over and pick them up yourself, they can accommodate that as well. Specializing in corporate designs for your company's next marketing event, social event. They make great wedding gifts, great holiday gifts, great birthday gifts, and, they're the perfect gift for the tailgater or backyard barbecuer in your life. So check out their website, ChiTownCornhole.com, and make sure you're following them on Instagram at Chi-Town Custom Cornhole Boards. You can see all of their designs and their fine work.
One of these days, I'm going to get through that and read without giggling, but today was not that day.
No, I will not.
Tomorrow will not be that day either.
I will not make promises I can't keep. Therefore, it's not a promise. Hey, the NFL playoff picture is locked in, and our go-to place for wild card round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Listen to that. Bet $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. That doesn't mean you have to win. It's not a guarantee if you lose. No, you bet $5 and you get $200 like that. Boom. That's all you need to do. Plus, all new and existing customers can get a no-sweat bet each day of the wild card round this weekend. Just place any NFL bet of your choice, and if it loses, you'll get a free bet back up to $10. Action so good, why bet the NFL playoffs anywhere else? And I'm not going to bet the Dolphins because Tua is not playing, and someone named Skyler is their quarterback.
Skyler.
No, that's not going to work.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL and get $200 in free bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details. And I know that a vast majority of our audience, not the vast majority, but a good percentage of our audience consumes this via podcast. So this part might not be great for you. But if you haven't done it yet, go to youtube.com/CHGO Sports and find this moment on the show today and make sure you smash that like button and subscribe while you're there. But I was on the Instagrams last night, and up there popped our buddy, our close personal friend, my colleague at Triumph Books, Marián Hossa, who shared a video of himself playing hockey as a child.
Look at that.
Look at the speed. Look at the wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Number 20's got no shot.
Wow, he blew
Watch
the
as he
doors
roofs
off.
it. Boom. That's the twine.
He killed that kid.
Oh,
The goalie
man.
died.
Wow.
R.I.P. to that child. It was a short life, but it was a good life. And getting taken out by a Marián Hossa wrister is not the worst way to go. So there he is, good old number 21.
The coach yelling that
back
way.
in the day.
Dad.
Make sure you follow Hossa on Twitter at Marián Hossa 80. Instagram at Marián Hossa 81. There's also his private one.
Yeah.
Hoss Boss.
Good
that
luck.
They keep requesting it every now and again. Like maybe he'll remember us. Nah. No access to that one. But hey, this one's good enough. So thanks for sticking with us. We thought we would share
Yeah, that was
a nice video of young Marián Hossa scoring a goal. One of his many.
That looked fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
Not surprised from young Marián.
I guarantee you he picked 21 for Stan Mikita, too.
I bet. You're probably right.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yep. And, hey, speaking of hockey players, number 81, go to chgolocker.com and get that legendary 81 design right now. chgolocker.com. You can get all of our great CHGO merch there as well. If you're a diehard, you save 20% on everything in store. And if you're not a diehard yet, what are you waiting for? We've got the rebuild report coming out tomorrow, fellas, correct?
Sure.
What day is it?
Today is Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, that'll come out tomorrow.
Sure.
We got plenty of news and notes from the world of juniors and the AHL and whatnot to talk about. Your guy, Samuel Savoie, tearing up the queue. Love it.
As he does.
He will be mentioned in there for sure.
I am so happy about this because I fell in love with this kid.
You hitched your horse to him real quick, and it is paying off. So
good this choice. Is from our buddy Wally Maz at Chicago Prospects. Samuel Savoie's first 11 games, 3 goals, 2 assists, +1. Samuel Savoie's last 21 games, 14 goals, 18 assists, +17. That's what I'm talking about. Plenty of faces punched.
Pretty good.
And players irritated.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait for this kid to arrive.
And he missed some time with some injuries. So
he did.
He's been having a fantastic season.
Yep. Can't wait. So much fun. Boy, in 2-3 years, we're going to be having a great time on this show.
I hope so. God, I hope so.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We gave you the extended Dance Mix edition today. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you smash that like button on your way out. We're back tomorrow night after Blackhawks and Avs on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.